Hi there. Growing up as a child, I was made to believe that every person with a white hair is either a man of wisdom or a woman of wisdom. But lately, as I begin to grow as a young lady, I realized that white hair is not equal to wisdom. I repeat it. White hair is not equal to wisdom. So I had a conversation with a friend of mine in the course of the week, and he said something that really baffles me. And when I asked him who was the source of this information, it was like he's an elderly man, and he's more or less like a mentor, maybe a spiritual figure. Sorry to say that. And it dawned on me that of a truth, wisdom, white hair, is not an epitome of wisdom. And one of the things that really baffles me was that the elderly man told him that as a man, there are two things that makes your relationship to strive successfully. Say number one, you must not love your wife more than she loved you. And number two, that means, that being said, that if your love for your wife is 70%, hers should be 100%. And even the 70%, you must not let her know that you so much loved her to that extent. Number two, this old man said that as a man, if you really want to retain your honor and your respect as a husband and as a man of the house, the head of the home, you should not let your wife know how much you earned, your source of income, and so on and so forth. Of course, you need to see the shock on my face because I wasn't shocked simply because such is not available out there. I know there is a level of such understanding out there. But I was weeping for this young man in my heart because beyond this statement, I could imagine other areas that this same person might have mentored him wrongly. And then it dawned on me that white hair is truly not equal to wisdom. You know, a child, a 15 years old person who was foolish, a 20 years old young boy who was foolish, and a 25 years old lady who was once a foolish person have now grown to be a 40-year-old woman, a 50-year-old man, a 60-year-old woman, a 70-year-old man. It baffles me because even as a single, somebody will say, what right do you have to say it on this? Well, my Bible in the book of John chapter 4 verse 18, First John chapter 4, yes, verse 18 says, perfect love casts out fears. That there is no fear in love. That means in love there is vulnerability. You are so confident enough to be vulnerable. That reminds me, about 7 years ago, as a young lady growing up, I used to have this severe menstrual cramp. And when it starts, it's truly, unfortunately, bearable. Yes, it's bearable because I survived it. It was painfully bearable. And an elderly woman in her late 40 called me. He said, Sister Obasi, I've noticed that you used to have pains during your menses, your menstrual cycle period. I would suggest that you look for a boyfriend, when you start having a boyfriend and doing what adults do, your menstrual pains will be a gone history, a forgotten history. Now, that tells me that for the fact that an advice is coming from an elderly person lips, it does not equal to truth and it does not equal to wisdom. So at all point and at all time, it is your responsibility, it is my responsibility to put a guide over the gate of our ears. There are other gates, but today, in the context of today's video, I will focus on the gate of the ears. You must be so intentional who you allow to advise you. Now, in that case, I cannot just get up and say, shut up, you are talking nonsense. Obviously, no. Oh, yes, I pay attention. When she was done, I told her, thank you very much. I really appreciate. Well, guess what? I dropped that information because I knew I have a conviction. I have something I'm standing upon, believing on, different from this. And I know what I believe is the truth. And it's God's word. If there is anything as a confident woman that you must do for yourself this year and in the course of this year, is to put a watch and a guide over the gate of your ears. Beware who advise you. Beware who you take counsel from. A lot of relationship counsels or advice that will comes to you will come from the standpoint of those who are still hurting, who have not healed. They have defined life from their little experience of misfortune. It is not truth. For the fact that there is an evidence of an occurrence rampant all over social media does not mean that that is the standard. It does not mean that that is the right way to get it done. Bikono, guide your ears gate. It is very important. They will come, they will advise you. And it will be so destructive for you to say, because it was an elderly person that gave me the advice. One, from what I have said now, you could almost agree with me. You can agree with me that white hair or age is not equal to wisdom. This is not a call to disrespect the elderly, but it is a call to self-awareness that for the fact that it is coming from the mouth of an elderly person does not mean it's the truth. Guide the gate of your ears. Thank you. See you next time.